this episode is both for brands and creators. What is up, beautiful people? In today's podcast, we have the co-founder and COO of Lenslist, the biggest XR community hub in the world, and we talk about the inspiring story behind Lenslist and the launch of XR Bazaar, which is another platform that focuses on connecting brands and creators. We talked about how you can start as an AR creator in the space, how to win negotiations with clients and get that deal that you want so badly. We talk about the biggest mistakes that creators make that prevent their growth, and also what makes one the best in the space. And on the brand side of things, we talked about how you can launch your first AR campaign, the do's and don'ts when you want to market with AR, and last but not least, how to find creators. 3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
Let's fucking do this. New coffee in the
wow,
house, baby!
What is this?
One coffee, and you have ruined the packaging.
I don't know how to open the packagings.
Look.
There was a Ziploc on top, and then I opened it wide open. No,
do you guys see this? There's a fucking lock right here for you to seal the packaging and not let the coffee breathe air.
Well,
and
as
all
an
you did...
I have this to close
Don't know how to open coffee.
It's okay.
All right, one coffee. This is medium roast.
Medium brew, yeah.
We've grown fond of dark roast recently, and so I'm not sure about this, but the taste is pretty good. This is the first time we're trying this, and I have no idea if this is going to get us zooted or not.
I'm super pumped for the podcast. So
well, you already had
two
shots. You already had 2 shots, and we went for the French press for this morning. So this is like the first time we're having this. I'm not sure how it's going to be, but maybe halfway through the podcast, we'll let you guys know how this is. We'll give you guys a review. Taste-wise, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Farhad, we uploaded something last night.
Oh, we finally finished the Wonder Dynamics video. So that video is fully scripted by GPT-4.
And a little
CGI,
bit of us, a tiny bit of us.
Just prompting. But
and the guys behind Up, the cartoon. So it was like a mix of all three, right?
Yeah, and then the CGI is fully done by Wonder Dynamics, which we talked about in the previous podcast. What was amazing is that we could take the whole short film in 3 days using 2 different AIs and generate something that is 1 minute and a half.
1 minute, and it's 2 different CG characters. We didn't do any lighting, any sort of, rigging or modeling or whatever, and we have 2 CG characters in there. It's just like, 2 weeks since they launched the service, and the results are phenomenal, and I just cannot imagine where it's going to go. If you guys haven't seen that video yet, it's up on our YouTube. It's only a minute long. Go check it out. And all we did was just like final color grading on top of the footages. I'm really excited about that technology, but we'll talk about that later, because today we have someone very special. And I told Farhad, we're going to stop saying we have someone very special today, because then we're going to say it for every fucking guest. But I think I really mean it.
Yeah. Today we can say it, I think.
Yeah, because the person we have today, she has seen more AR and VR and XR and MR, whatever you want to call it, experiences that one can hope of. She has, alongside with her team, created one of, if not the biggest XR community hub and the platform for creators and brands. And we're talking about, of course, Lenslist. They develop and popularize AR, VR, XR, MR. We found out about them, a while back when we started our own AR journey. And it was, at the time especially, one of the only places you could go to get inspiration, to find ideas.
To find partners to collab with, and to know who is in the industry.
Exactly.
Where else you would know?
If you didn't have Lenslist, how the fuck would you know? Like, all you could do is just go and browse galleries, and then be like, oh, okay, maybe I can, connect with this person. But they really are the ones who are leading this partnership of creators and brands and connecting people together. And without them, I would say there's going to be a giant hole in the AR and the VR and the XR community and the MR. I'm going to say all these names, although some of them work together, but just so that everyone is aware how deep these guys go in this entire industry. Of course, we're not talking about anybody else but the co-founder and COO and partnership manager of Lenslist, Zuza. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Zuza.
Hey,
welcome
guys.
to the show.
Hey, how are you guys?
How are you doing, Zuza?
I feel like I have to do this after this.
Hey, you're missing Thug Life glasses.
Yeah.
Should we do an edit of Thug Life glasses on our face?
I'm here for you.
Oh, she has.
Oh yeah, she has glasses. I like that.
Yeah.
Wait, you're prepared. What is this? I just asked her, by the way.
Always
I
be
just asked her
prepared.
what time it is. I just asked you what time it is. She was like, it's 6 p.m.
So
6
having
p.m.
a sunglass beside you at 6 p.m. That's
Yeah.
fucking amazing.
I think she was ready. She was like, I need to look cool, so I'm just gonna put on the sunglasses.
I'm kind of a sunglasses at night kind of gal, you know.
Well, I do not judge you. I think actually there are a couple people who do that, like Salt Bay. Salt Bay always has the sunglasses on, right? Like he looks cool,
Yeah.
so why not, right? What is there a reason why you like to wear sunglasses at night?
Uh, not one I can share. But when you get tired by the end of the day, you get like a little droopy eyes,
The eye bags. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get that. Like, it's something that we do sometimes. I mean, sometimes in the morning, like early in the morning, like yesterday, I think because we had so much lack of sleep. I was going in the
Yeah.
lift. I was like, I don't want anyone to see my face right now. Just put on the sunglasses and go with that. It's okay. We all do it. No judging. No judging. But first of all, I just want to say before we get into anything, because we got
Sure.
so much we want to ask you. Congratulations on the launch of XR Bazaar. You guys have
Thanks.
done a phenomenal job. How is that going? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. Thank you so much. And by the way, I also represent XR Bazaar today because it's kind of our color. So it's
Oh,
not
nice.
it's nothing is by accident here, guys. Okay, so I haven't figured
It's
it
well
out.
prepared. We love that. We love
Yeah.
that.
But you know what? The story of XR Bazaar started like maybe a year ago, just
Okay.
because we were getting a lot of requests from brands like, can you recommend us somebody to do this type of effect, maybe this project? And we didn't really have like a good process for this, like a transparent process. We could of course recommend somebody from the top of our heads, but it didn't really seem fair, or it just wasn't a good process. So we were like, okay, but it would be a shame not to recommend anybody, right? We want people to get those deals and make money and everything, be successful. So we basically felt like, okay, we have to create a space specifically for business, because Lenslist is very focused on inspiration, content, showcasing the best projects and everything. But we wanted to deliver something specifically for doing business in XR. And we were also trying to figure out like how people use other platforms like maybe Behance or Dribble. So we did our research and we found that basically XR is really non-existent there. These platforms are very saturated already, and mostly with people who do maybe graphic design or web design, something like this. So for example, you can search like VR app or something like this, and you just see a stock photo of a person wearing a headset.
Oh my
And,
God. Yeah.
and it's not really
How
what
can
you're
you
looking
trust
for.
them? How can you trust them? And you have no. I know exactly what she's talking about, right? Okay, please continue. I have so much to say about that.
Yeah, because it's we just noticed that there isn't really a space for XR people to show off, just to showcase what they do and everything. And we also, because on Lenslist we do all of the work, like adding everything to the database ourselves. So we kind of wanted to switch things around and give people, the creators and the studios and everything, the control of what type of content, which projects they want to showcase on their portfolio. So we kind of wanted the dynamic to be like, you're deciding what you want to show, you're deciding which projects are your, I don't know, top favorite, most important ones, right? So we had a lot of reasons to do it, and then Meta shut down the portfolios on the Spark Hub. And we were like, okay, how fast can we at least launch an option to create a portfolio? Because we saw a lot of people were like, how can I showcase my work right now? Not everybody can create a website. It's like, for us it's easy just because we've done like 50 of them. But it's understandable that not everyone has to has to be able to make a website, right? So we kind of really sat down to the table and basically launched the whole thing within like 4.5 months since
Amazing.
we started the development. So it was a sprint, it was a super sprint.
I remember when Meta announced that they are gonna, take down the whole gallery thing, and I saw a lot of comments, a lot of posts from people saying that this was our way of showcasing our AR to the brands. And the reason is because most of the times there would be postings on behalf of the brands or on the brand's page. So there was not really a way for them to represent, like how we created AR for our partners, but you cannot see it unless we tell them. So
Yeah.
XR
Exactly.
Bazaar coming in at the right time. And I was checking out the other day. The UI looks great.
Yeah,
You
one
could
thing
say-
you guys nail is actually the look of the website. So really
Oh, thanks.
kudos to you guys for that.
Thanks.
oh,
We have a really great team, We have a small team, but like if one person would leave, we would be like done. Everyone is like everyone is super important, and everybody has such a big contribution to what we do. So we just, like my other co-founder, Pavel, was like managing the whole development side. I was more on the like UX content side of the website. So his last weekend was like maybe 5 hours of sleep in 3 days. So it was
That's
really
wow.
No, that's how. When you deliver something great, it always happens, and like it's no. I wouldn't say it's normal, but it takes sacrifices to create something great, and also to deliver it in such a short amount of time to people. So I think, I mean, you got the result. I went to XR Bazaar the other day, and I saw studios there, creators there, and honestly, low-key, I went there to get inspiration again. So it's great for other people. I would say you guys labeled it as a one-stop shop for brands and creator to showcase, but I think it's a great place for whoever who wants to jump into AR for the first time, because they can see what are the possibilities, because you have face filter, you have word AR, you have products, you have both commercial and fun stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
So that makes it like I would say like a Wikipedia of AR that you can go and find everything.
Yeah, and the thing is, I feel like, again, the way you guys branded it is beautiful. You guys make it so simple.
Thanks.
You have 4 brands, 4 creators, right? And that makes it so easy, because those are really, honestly, the main 2 key sort of groups of people that you need to target. And when you go in, you're going to be either one of those people, and
Exactly,
you want to find out more about, okay, either how you want to sell your product and how you want to market your product. Then you're going to go to the brand side, or you're trying to make a living out of AR, XR, and all these things. But it's not just about making a living. You want to create art in this domain, but you're not
Exactly.
sure. I feel like that's one of the biggest problems in this space, is there's so many people, so many artists who are excited about AR, but the biggest problem is they don't know if they can ever make a living out of it, right? They don't know, if I go in this, am I able to like quit my daytime job and be able to, create AR art? And the
Totally.
truth is, yes, you can, but how can you be sure of it? And I think one thing you guys have done and are continuing to do is to prove that, yes, for creators, you can actually make a living out of it. You can create your art and continue doing what you love and be able to be very successful. Not just create a base minimum, but to be very successful. Simultaneously, brands can create amazing marketing product, not marketing products, amazing marketing sort of campaigns around their products and services, and be very successful compared to the traditional way of marketing. So I think that's one of the main things, and I really appreciate that about you guys. What was the motivation behind you guys starting this platform? Because I'm sure it wasn't easy, because just like any AR artist who was at the time, maybe in 2017, 18, looking at the market, they were like unsure. I'm sure you guys had your fair share of uncertainty, but what pushed you guys to exactly to be like, you know what, we're gonna be having a team this big in a couple of years.
Spend a lot of time. It's a risk, right? It's a risk that you guys are taking. Like, what would be the
the story is pretty crazy with Lenslist, actually, because we started Lenslist back in like 2017, end of 2017, when Snap launched Lens Studio, then Facebook launched Spark AR. And we were basically doing totally different stuff back then. Like I for example, was a head of a product delivering chatbots for Messenger, for like different stuff, basically like for marketing activations or like customer service. We also had a different product launching like smart apps on Facebook that you can basically like play a game in your newsfeed. So we had
Okay.
multiple different products with my other co-founder and some other teammates that we kind of we've been working for a while together, creating different products. I think we've already made like 7 different brands together. So it's we have a lot of history. And basically Pavel, my other co-founder, saw the news that Snap is launching Lens Studio, Facebook is launching Spark AR, and he was like, "This is totally a thing for us because it's like totally art, like it's totally usable for marketing, and we can make money on it. But it's like super artistic, super creative. You can do so much within AR." So we were like, "Okay, we have to start doing something about it." So first, he and some other people from our like let's say collective, they launched an AR studio. Basically, it's still active and everything. It's called Lens Studio. Sorry, Lensdat. Lenslist, Lensdat, Lens Studio. It's a lot of
Yeah,
Yeah,
lens.
sound
it's
all
very similar. Yeah.
It's a lot of lens there. So they started the studio, but back then you could only, for in terms of Facebook, you could only deploy AR on Facebook, not on Instagram. So Facebook camera is not really like the sexiest thing out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but they had some, because we've been so active in the industry, like digital marketing. Previously, we had some clients that were ready to try it and everything. But to be honest, we didn't really know what we can do with this because there weren't as many experiences, examples online, so we were trying to find as many use cases as possible. I wasn't really that close to that project back then, just because I had my chatbot stuff. But Pavel came to me and he was like, we have to make a database of any effects we can find online, just because we have to learn. We don't really know anything about it except that we can code it. It's not that hard, right? So we basically started to do make this database, just a spreadsheet in in Excel or something.
Wow. But at that time, how many creators were there? I think this is super early, right? It wouldn't be more than
Maybe 50 people
10,
were
20,
like 50
God.
people
Wow.
globally were like interested. So once we started to collect all of these examples, we met people who were just like us, trying things out. So we were like, okay, since we already have like maybe 100 or 200 examples, let's just share it with people, right? Why keep it to ourselves? We're like internet people, we're all about sharing. So this is basically how Lenslist started. We just wanted to have some base of use cases for people, but then we started to create relationships with those creators, just because we had the same questions, the same problems. How to sell it, how to monetize it, what can we do with it, right? So we basically from there started the blog, because we wanted to show off those people, interview them, show off their stories, and kind of also write about like new features, updates, and everything, just so the community can be updated, easily. And over the years it kind of grew, but on this level, like until 2020, like maybe three or four people tops were taking care of the whole site. And that's where I come in. uh, just because I was like, guys, because to be honest, it was like Lenslist wasn't making any money, right? So our other businesses had to pour money into Lenslist, and they wasn't getting anything in return, right? So they were kind of pushing to maybe stop doing this, or don't spend money on
To give up
this.
or
And we wanted to do more and more, just because we saw a lot of potential in the platform and in the community. So I was like, okay, I have to figure out how we can bring in some money so they can shut up and let us do our thing. Right?
So how did you
So
do
how
that?
did this is the interesting part actually.
Yeah.
yeah, so my idea was, we didn't want to charge the creators or something, just because we are aware that a lot of people, especially back then, were doing just for hobby, for fun,
Mhm.
not really for business. So we were like, we don't want to charge them. So okay, who can we charge for this? So I figured, okay, we have Snap, Meta. Back then there was no TikTok, but I mean, in
Yeah.
terms
Yeah.
of AR. So we were like, okay, I have to get into those platforms and start getting get in touch with them, see what we can do together. So we figured these challenges could be a good product that will be like sellable and understandable from the perspective of the platform.
Mhm.
So basically, our first deal we've made, that we made any money from, was just a challenge we did with Snap. I think it was by the end of 2020. So
Not that
basically,
long
that's
ago.
not that long ago. Back, like,
Yeah.
for 3 years, we were running we were doing everything for free, and it was just a passion project for us.
Mhm.
um, and as you know, once you get into this AR space, it's like you cannot really get out of it. It's pretty
Yeah.
Yeah.
addictive, like, because there's so many so many people who are so inspiring,
Mhm.
so many new projects every week. Like, with our selection, I think today we posted like 140th edition of a weekly selection. So
Whoa.
it's a lot of weeks,
That's
and
crazy.
That's
Yeah, that's wow.
That's amazing. And just one thing about your weekly selection. That's how I found out about Lenslist. We created one AR filter, and then one morning I woke up and I saw a page tagged our filter, and then we are getting followers on our Instagram. Remember that was the ape filter that you
Yeah.
created? And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god, someone found our filter, tagged us. This is fucking great. I didn't even reach out to them. I
yeah.
cannot imagine how many creators you onboarded into this
I
space
was
by just doing weekly
I was about to
selections.
just fucking say that. And I want you to continue the story like right after this because I'm
Yeah,
very
yeah.
interested. But just another thing I want to say, keep doing that shit because that is, I think, so many people who probably became AR artists after you guys probably shared them because they were like, wait a
Totally.
second, someone's actually recognizing my work. Like
Yeah,
this
someone
is
like
getting
it.
seen. I didn't know this is even possible. Then they go and start doing research. And of
Yeah.
course, back to your story, now they are finding XR Bazaar and all those things, which you're going to come back to because maybe previously, like last year, they would just see their videos being shared, but now the videos shared and, oh, wait a second, I can go and actually put my stuff on XR Bazaar and show my stuff to different brands. So we're going to get to that, but please continue your story.
I just wanted to mention that, your story you just told, like, we're having these success stories like all the time, just because so many people come into this space all the time. It's still new, it's still fresh. For us it's been like 6 years, but for a lot of people, they are just finding out about it. And if you have this feedback, like I tell all of my friends, like, I have the best job I possibly can, just because we have so much positive emotion, positive feedback about what we do. That's it's I think it's hard to find anywhere else. So I think, thanks for telling your story also. I didn't know we had that much of an impact on you guys.
No, you
That's really
definitely,
cool.
You
definitely.
did. You definitely did. It's again, it's just a matter of when whoever that creates content and their content gets recognition, I think that gives them a sense of motivation and inspiration. And I think you guys are doing that like on a weekly basis. There has to be people that get motivated after they get their stuff shared, especially now that you have the attention on your page. It's even a
Yeah.
bigger, I would say, source of motivation. So you mentioned you guys were looking to start, putting in money into the business. So I believe you said Snap was the first one you guys worked with, and TikTok
Yeah.
wasn't there at the time. And then what happened after that?
Yeah, so we first started to work with Snap, and it was also a long journey, just because we found that like one person from Snap signed up to our newsletter. So it's like, okay, we have somebody interested. So I reached out to them, and I think he was from like some European office, maybe in Portugal or Spain, something like this. And I found like the perfect person, just because he was so excited about what we were doing, and he was like, I have to get you to the right person. And he really helped us at the beginning, because with all these biggest hugest companies, to come to the right person is like one of the
It's
biggest
going to take
problems.
years. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so many people. There's so
So
many
many
people there. Makes sense.
people, the titles are like whatever, you don't really know what they're doing. Right? So it's
Yeah,
like,
we feel, yeah.
so it was really really tough, but this guy really really helped us out. So he got me in touch with like somebody who was taking care of like back then they called it, I think, camera marketing, something like
Okay.
this. And we just I'm really like a direct person, and we didn't have like I wasn't a salesperson, right? I was just trying to make somebody excited about the whole vision and what we're doing. So I think this really kind of made it all work, because we didn't have like a super specific, like, I don't know, business plan or this or statistic proving that this format that we thought of will work and everything. We just had like a very good idea, and a lot of people who were supporting us from the community, and I think that kind of got through to them. So we launched, I think, 2 calls for content. So back then we didn't even had prizes for creators. It was just like, okay guys, just do a lens, let's say a fashion lens or something, right? So it was, they didn't really trusted us enough for us to pay out prizes to people, right? Because we were like, also we're from Warsaw, Poland, we're not
Yeah.
from California or something, right? So it's also much tougher to do business here, and especially like a global business, right? So it was really, for me, the experience of making it work. I didn't think it was impossible, because I'm like, I know I can do a lot, but it was very very like surprising for me that they went for it. And after we did like 2 activations with them, uh, we were already in touch with people from Meta, just because they saw what we were doing, and we were posting a lot on like the community group. So right after we did one thing with Snap, kind of like the doors were
Opened up.
opened
And
up,
then
right?
that just started snowballing into, you guys partnering with more people and more people. That's honestly, that's a crazy story. And
I love that story, and especially that you guys didn't give up for the first 2-3 years without any revenue and just did it for passion. And I think that's why you have a very strong community now. It's because when people go back, and now I look at like 2017, I think, wow,
there's no certainty that this will
yes,
work.
100. Like
Yeah.
we started back in 2019,
2019,
yeah, and
yeah.
then still that time was, I would say that we found Lenslist and that was it. But now, of course, there is a lot. Like now, the last Lensathon was $200,000 prize pool. So it's something that everybody will know.
Yeah.
And
It's much easier to get into it now. And
Definitely.
I think, to be honest with you, me and Farhad have so many questions with regards to brands and creators. And I think for everybody watching, stay tuned, because the next questions that we have for you are going to be helping everybody watching. But we didn't plan on talking about like Lens's story for this long, and the only reason we're talking about it is because it's so fast.
It's
No.
hard to
I want
make
to actually
this
say,
story short,
no.
it's so inspiring.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's so great that, because it's again the lesson that I learned from story is not about creating company like Lenslist. Even if you are a creator, It's about how you can put out content consistently
Yeah.
and then wait for the moment that, oh, when the first door opens up, when you get your first brand deals,
When you're getting your
then-
foot in the door.
Yes,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
It just
after that it
snowballs.
gets much easier. So this was very inspiring, and thank you for sharing that, because also I didn't know this story.
And there's one more thing. There's one more thing. I think there's two takeaways. Another one is if you truly give to the community, you're going to fucking win at the end. And that's what you guys have been doing, right? You guys have been
Yeah.
giving to the community for a very long period of time, every single week, without asking any money in return. And I think that was the important part, because when Meta takes on a portfolio, whatever, you guys are constantly trying to give back to the community. Okay, how can we give that same platform, but in a much bigger way now, to the
Yeah.
community, and still, try not to get so much money out of the creators themselves. Of
Yeah.
course, there's going to be subscription models, all those things, and that's fine, because every website has that, and I think that's actually a really good thing to have, because then other creators can do their, if they're really invested in this future, they can use those models. But genuinely speaking,
Totally.
you guys have done so much for the community, and I think that's another takeaway. Even as creators, if you share other people's work, you've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
that work. Like, it's, I think, one of the best examples. I mentioned his name in the last podcast as well, Don Allen. Like, one thing he's
Don
known for
Allen.
is he shares everybody's work, and I think
Yeah.
that's one thing that I like about him is there's so many people. Like, I personally want to share that I, as a creator, used to be the kind of guy who would just do my own thing and not look at other people's work and not care about everybody's work. I just want to do my own thing. But I feel like that's not the best way to grow. If you share everybody's
No.
work, you're going to get your work shared too. And I think that's one other thing that you guys have been doing. You guys just share everybody's work, literally.
Yeah, you know what? Like, one of our core kind of values at Lenslist is that nobody grows in a vacuum. Like, we have
Yeah.
to share things and support each other to grow, especially in the digital space. Just because we can reach so many people. Like, every creator, even if you don't know it yet, my dear creator, you can reach millions of people if you just keep at it, and if you really share your work and also support other people, because this way other people will support what you will do, and then the machine keeps on going. And what's really best about it is that it's not about like using other people or something like this. It's like totally different. It's like the opposite of it. And I think,
Yes.
especially since AR is and XR is such a new thing, everyone is still learning. Like, there is no one master XR creator or somebody who's the best at it. Everybody is
Yeah.
totally different, and everybody is still learning. So it's definitely not the time. Like, I'm more of a like business person, because of just my university studies and everything. So if you go to a market like a blue market, where you don't really have that much saturation and everything, the worst strategy for you is to keep close to your chest and basically grind, not looking to every what's going on outside of your desk, your computer, is the worst strategy for you. On this market we're in, the best strategy is basically to keep on creating, keep upping up your level, but you won't up your level without looking what other people are doing, without getting inspiration from other people, from without trying new tools, trying new features. So it's all about, like, if one person, like, I don't know any one person who just, I don't know, popped out of nowhere and was the best at it. Everybody has to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
through their steps, their journey. And it's much easier to do it with people who are already maybe a few steps ahead of you or something.
100%.
100%.
So I want to ask you, because for those who are listening to this and they are not into this AR space and they want to start today, what is the first thing that you recommend to them that they need to do?
I would
This is for
definitely,
creators, right?
Yes.
yeah, I would definitely recommend just downloading, I would say, Metaspark, just because I think it's the most kind of like easy thing to get into, between all of the different softwares, just because you have so many different tutorials. like even the templates, like just download the software, download the templates, and you for sure already have your own videos, your own like maybe graphics, something like this. And just try and make something, because like even for me, I'm not like a techie. Like I know a lot of about technology, but I'm not a developer or anything like this. But I can make a pretty simple AR effect, it's not that easy to get into at first. Then you just have to keep being motivated to learn more, because I know for a lot of people, for example, coding is like a kind of a no-no,
Scary.
yeah,
Yeah, scary.
That's
scary thing.
Yeah.
that was me.
But also now you have so many tools, like you have so many libraries, like even the AI stuff that's coming up right now, like you can really do a lot without like an education in coding or something. You can
Oh,
buy code,
100%.
you can just ask people like, I have a problem of doing this and this, and somebody will probably share it with you. So it's like
Yeah.
there are so many ways, but I think that what really drives most of the creators is the actual creative process, just because it's really fun, and it's really
Yeah.
amazing to see then people using what you do. Because for example, in my private life, I write a lot. I like write scripts, for movies that maybe will never be made, but this is kind of my hobby. And I'm always thinking like, I hope, like, what if I could just share it with people and people would actually like read it or try to actually like act it, like, where is the lens list for me? Where is lens list for the writers, right?
For script writers.
Yeah,
Maybe you have
yeah.
to make that too. After this, maybe that's something you have to create
Script
yourself.
list.
Yeah.
Script list.
Yeah, but I think it's really really special to have this kind of community, because with other fields where there are maybe more established, and like there are more people in there, like millions of people, it's tough to for it to still feels like so close and so organic for the community. So I think this is probably the best time to start, just because like when we started it was super hard because there wasn't really that much out there about it and stuff. But right now you have all the tools you will possibly need, and definitely
What do
go to
you what
Lenslist for sure. And
Yes,
Yeah,
also
100%.
100%.
look at other people's work, uh, just because for me, like, this is the most inspiring thing, just to look what other people are doing, because everybody has a different style, different, kind of, I don't know, some people may, for example, do only shader stuff, and they don't really
Yeah.
touch
Yeah.
like 3D modeling. But I don't know, I love what they're doing, so it's like everybody does something different, and you can really find your own path into AR. You don't have to do exactly what other people do, but you can learn from their journey, from what they've been through and everything.
I think the beauty of AR and this, like what I'm about to say, is something I discovered with our conversation in the previous podcast with Benfluencer.
Oh,
That I
shout
was I
out,
was just
Ben.
thinking, yeah, shout out to Benfluencer. I realized, okay, for AR to grow, I think what would be the next big thing is have AI combined with AR. So when AI is developed, more and more by Meta or Snap or TikTok or 8th Wall, and they actually integrate that into, so you can start using Stable Diffusion and all these
Yeah.
different things within AR. I think that's when it's going to go really higher. And why I'm bringing this up is because I genuinely believe so many artists right now are scared of the AI growth because maybe, for example, they are amazing at sketching, but that's all they know, right? They don't know
Yeah.
anything else. They just sketch every day, and they're scared because they're like, okay, now companies might not need me anymore because the AI can sketch in like 10 seconds, and sometimes it can sketch better than me, and that's only going to get better and better over time. There's other examples, just like you said. There's maybe professional shader artists,
Yeah.
and in probably 6 months time, there's going to be AI models that create shaders in 10 seconds. There is already, but they're
I've
not
seen
that
it.
great
Yeah,
yet.
I've seen it already. Yeah.
Exactly. So I genuinely think, again, something else I'm
You
discovering
know,
right
Faraz
now.
cannot sleep at night because he thinks tomorrow an AI will come and do a 3D model better than him.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I know it's going to happen. So now I'm thinking about it. I genuinely think AR, we're not talking about VR and all yet. We'll get into
Yeah.
that. But AR specifically can be the safe haven for all these artists who have to learn something new. Because right now there's no AI that is creating AR. And I think AR is still much bigger because AR can be worlds that you create. You know, it's not limited to,
Totally.
let's say, just a piece of paper or a shader. It's a much bigger part and it has so many different parts at play.
Different art pieces come together to create an experience, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So I think AR can be the place where people go next. Because if I'm an amazing sketcher or an amazing shader, artist, I can now be like, you know what? I'm gonna take my knowledge to AR and learn a bunch of other things, use AI to help me with what I'm already good at, and now create all these amazing experiences that I can create for myself as hobby or for brands. Now, leading me up to the next question, what is the best way, and I mean, it sounds a little bit of an irony because we just talked about XR Bazaar, but maybe you can expand on that.
Yeah.
What's the best way for a creator who is now, maybe started a little bit with AR, they know a little bit of Metaspark, a little bit of maybe Lens Studio or Effect House or even Eighth Wall. What's the best way for me to get myself funded? What's the best way for me to, be able to get clients, be able to make a living out of this so that I can invest more time into it?
So I think there are like a couple of steps to go through, but I think one important thing is you have to decide if you want to be like a multidisciplinary artist yourself and do it on your own, or if you want to build a team. Because here we have totally different strategies for an individual and for a team. But I think overall the most important thing is to get some traction on, and this is actually what's super like special about AR, that it exists on social media platforms. So I would really like just share what you do. Think about what you share. Make sure that your videos are interesting to look at, not just for AR geeks like myself, but for people who don't know what AR is. Just think, oh, this looks cool. Like there is like one creator, Piper, who does this like AR jewelry. She has this technique with target tracking, and her
She has
videos.
such a special style. Yeah, she has such a special style. I don't need to see her name. I see the video, I know it's her because it's always
Yeah.
around the ring, around the wrist. So like she has a
crazy.
very particular style.
Yeah, and this is probably what you want, to have people recognize your stuff, your work, just because it creates like this personal kind of attachment, but it also grows interest into AR itself. Like, how did she do it? How did they do it? Like when I show AR to people who are totally outside like our tech bubble, they're like, whoa, this is impossible. Like some people really didn't even know that things like that are possible, like creating a portal on my wall or something. For us, we see it like every other week, and for most people this is like totally out of this world. But I think one problem that a lot of creators have is that they don't put like enough of work into the actual output, like how you showcase your effects, how you showcase these experiences. And a lot of people, especially because I think the like AR is mostly made up of, for one, creative people, but also developers and techie people, and this is like a crazy mix, basically like putting fire onto like gasoline or something. And I think the best version of this is when those people collaborate. Then you can like enable so many amazing stuff, amazing experiences. Or a lot of people are also so multidisciplinary, they can do it all, which is kind of crazy for me. But I think this is like the key for people. Just think about what you're putting out there. Just because your clients like your potential clients probably won't try your effect if they won't see the video of it working amazingly. And also make
Yeah.
sure your effect doesn't work only for the best phone, the newest iPhone or something. Make sure it works on everything. Just because I can tell you, a lot of business people don't really know how to use this. Like, you
Oh
know,
yes,
Oh,
tell me about it. I know it's crazy sometimes. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah. It's sometimes I'm gonna bang my head to the wall, and I'm like, this is pretty straightforward. But you have to accept it that you have to make it simple for brands, as in like
yeah,
simple, as in easy to use. If you put a
exactly.
lot of interactions, walk here, walk there, look here, look there. If you make it like a PC game, good luck getting rich from that lens. Really.
it's
Exactly.
you said it. You said it beautifully. I think we have the same fucking problem every single time. We're either working with a client or trying to convince somebody on as a creator on how to actually do the AR effect. I want to just touch on one thing you said. The last bit is
Yeah.
sometimes the most important part. The last 10%, which is right after you spent a very long time to create your art piece, and you're probably tired and exhausted, and you put that piece out. You have to
Exactly.
market it really well. You have to package it, because we have the same problem. We might be working on something for 2 weeks, and in our mind, we're like, oh my God, this is like, who likes this now? Like, we spent 2 weeks on it, and it's getting a little bit tiring for us to even look at it. But the
Yeah.
truth is, you have to really push that last 10% to package it well, create at least like 2, 3 videos out of it, make it as good as possible, look good as possible, and then share it on every platform. And that's the hardest part, because when you're done with it, you just want to move on to the next thing sometimes. That's like
Yeah.
actually our case.
What she said was very true, that a lot of people won't try your filter, they'll just see the video.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
your video is good, like, you're good to go.
And you also have to think from the perspective of the brand, because the brand doesn't really buy the AR experience. They buy the fact that the users are going to use your experience. So you have to look at it
Yeah.
this way, because they don't really care about, like, oh, there are 5 3D models inside or 10. Like, they don't
Yeah.
think about it like this.
This
They
is exactly, yes. This is
they want
spot on.
people
Like,
to
no,
they want people to use these effects, and they then buy their products based on this. So you have to look at this like that. And definitely there it's like different strokes for, like, maybe artistic people, like maybe a museum wants to make an effect or something. Here it's definitely a different experience, but 90% of the work is just for marketing, right? So we have, like,
Yeah.
creators have to have this marketing mindset, that and also don't take that much stuff personally, because I hear a lot of stories and a lot of feedback from people who were like, how can this client tell me that this looks like shit, or this model is not the best or something. Like, you have to get, like, become, like, also like a business person. So you have to be very very, like, flexible, very easily adjust to situations,
Unemotional. Unemotional
unemotional
to the
about your
actual
work.
product. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
I agree with you on that, and I wanna get back to something you mentioned. I mean, again, there's so many questions that's just popping
yeah,
up when you
this is
speak.
good. Yeah,
There's one thing I want to ask is, for the creators, what type of AR have you seen that has worked in order to attract the most amount of clients? For example, do you recommend I start creating and spamming like digital fashion? Because do you see that market opening up, or world ARs, or target trackers? What do you think the creators who have been the most successful have been creating content around that has gotten them the most clients and the most work and the most attention?
I think that, of course, it changes with time, because there was like a year, maybe like 2 years ago, where you just saw randomizers and everywhere and not much else, But I think we're past that,
Yeah.
thankfully, because it was pretty tiring. But what I wanted to say, that even the randomizers can be better or worse. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yep.
yep.
um, I think what
By randomizer, just to clarify, you're talking about the popping message on top of the head that changes the image or
What type
text.
of personality you are? Who's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
celebrity crush? Who you gonna
Exactly.
marry
And
next
I
year?
agree. It can be really fun, but it can get really, like,
Yeah.
just the opposite of unique, right? Like just saturated with the
Exactly.
same type.
But I think that my point is that I don't think it's really about the format, like if it's word AR or digital fashion or a randomizer. It's really, I think it's all about the concept behind it, and like thinking about when creating it, thinking about yourself as a user. Like why would somebody enter this experience? Because I think this is the problem with a lot of world AR experiences, where they are amazing, beautiful, but they don't get views, they don't get the opens and everything, right? And I
Yeah.
think a lot of the fault here is, like, again, not really instructing the user how to use this effect. So in your preview video, maybe don't just make like 30 seconds video of like, just you interacting with the effect, like just seeing it through your phone, but like allow people to see that somebody can take a video of you interacting with the effect, right? This is like a
Yeah.
pretty simple idea, but not that many people kind of get it.
Do it. Yeah.
So you really have to make the experience seem useful, or just like interesting from the content creation perspective, because you make this experience for other people to make content with it, right? So you have to show them how they should make the content. For example, Karen Cheng is amazing example of how to do this, because a lot of the effects, I think she does her experiences with like a collaborator. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
like this is her main thing right now, but they do like they just make amazing content with the effects they make, and
Yeah.
this is how she has like maybe a couple of millions of followers. Because she shows you how you can use the effect to make your content amazing. And I think this is kind of the approach that people should kind of notice more, instead of focusing only on like their creative process. They have to be
More selfless than selfish, right? So
yeah,
more about sharing the knowledge rather than keeping it to yourself. Just show off, hey, look, I got this cool filter, go and use it. More of like, hey, this is the filter, this is how I made it, this is
How you
what
can use it. This is
Yeah.
the way I create content around it. And she gave a great example of Karen Chang, because every time she posts about her filters, like there is one camera recording her doing the filter first,
exactly.
and then she shares other people recording her filter too. So it's like it's a no-brainer for whoever wants to try that filter.
It's like it's almost a no-brainer at this point. We talked about so many examples. As this is like the strategy that all the top creators are using. Just share your work, share the knowledge, give value to people instead of just keeping it to yourself. Share it with everybody, and I think it all comes back to you sooner or
Yeah.
later. I have honestly so many questions I want to ask you, but should we move on to brands?
I wanted to say that because we talked about creators. There are a lot of creators that are following Lenslist. They know about you guys. But I think at the same time, there are a lot of brands that also are coming to you guys, either
Yeah.
for advice or how to do things. So how does one brand who hasn't been in this space want to enter AR for the first time should start their journey? Is it by research? Is it by checking out the creators? Or do they need to focus on their marketing campaign? What would be the best way that you suggest to them?
I think my answer kind of changed like maybe a year and a half ago, where all of the metaverse stuff started to come out. Just because the reaction to the metaverse was so divided between at least the brands we were kind of talking with and everything. Some people were like, okay, we're so excited, we're going in 100% and everything. And we were like, fine, but you have to understand what you're doing.
Take it slow a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I really wanted to avoid and I think took kind of did everything too fast and wanted to explain everything too fast to people, because everybody now has like a vision of, okay, Ready Player One, we will all be, I don't know, living in like this different weird world or something.
Simulated world, yeah.
Yes, like a simulation, like a matrix or something. And and some brands kind of got super excited about it, and I think it is really exciting, but like people have to understand that like AR, VR, and everything, it has the user base, and social AR has a huge user base. But for example, VR is very limited in terms of user base. So if you want to push like this amazing showroom in the central end, go ahead. But you have to understand that it's just for your PR materials or something like this. But maybe like couple of thousand people will see it, even with your like biggest spending on this campaign in terms of paid ads and everything. So so I think brands are right now are really kind of
Confused?
confused, yeah, confused about what's going on, because they got this promise of this metaverse. They thought it's going to happen right now, and we need like 10 more years to to make it happen. So I think a lot of brands are confused. But if you want to straightly talking about AR, I think if you're a brand, you just really need to look what's out there and kind of make sense of it for your own brand. And for some sectors it's easier, for others it's harder, just because, for example, like beauty brands or cosmetics brands, this is fucking obvious, right? You can just
Yeah.
try the cosmetics on your face, right? The makeup and everything. So
Yeah.
here you go, it's easy. But for some other brands, for example, I saw an effect made for like an airline recently, and it was really really cool. But we were even thinking internally, like, because it wasn't Emirates or like a big brand
Like a
that's,
big brand, right?
yeah, it was a smaller brand. But I think AR is like, I think a lot of brands understand AR through, like, this is something extra we're doing. This is not like a standard, let's put some banners on the website, let's pay for some Instagram ads or something. They treat it as something unusual they're doing. And I think this is the way of thinking that I hope would stop. Just because if a brand creates one effect, one filter, without even knowing why they're doing it and everything, they won't get any success from it. And then they will just be, okay, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
We're never doing this again. Yeah, AR doesn't
Exactly.
work for us. We're never doing this again.
And with AR, like with any other content format, you have to have a strategy. You have to have like you have to make your audience used to it. You have to promise them something if they engage with it. You have to make them learn about it. Just because the brand doesn't do anything for the brand itself. They want to do something for the customer, right? So
Yes.
and I think a lot of brands don't really understand it. I think some of them just want to have something special made one time, just because everybody
And
else
that's
is
it.
doing
Yeah.
it, and then just leave it alone, or maybe do it another year or something. And this way it's
Okay. I have one question, because before you move forward and I forget about this, and
Sure.
it's specifically about what you just mentioned. So we know XR Bazaar is a place where creators can go to find brands and brands can go to find creators. Do you guys also offer a solution as Lenslist for brands to come and get advice from you, get consultation? And
Yeah.
how much of the process do you guys actually help them with? So some brands, like you mentioned, know exactly what they want. Bigger brands, like let's say Dior, for example, who's
Yeah.
used like so many AR filters, they just want to come to you, find a creator. But some brands, and I'm not talking about like big ones who have like, like loads of budget. I'm talking small brands. How do
Yeah.
they like, get consultation from you guys? Do you guys like read the entire business, give them ideas for the AR, give them ideas for like the whole thing, or do you guys only partially do that? What's the process like for a small business who might be watching this and wants to get into AR?
Sure. So in terms of XR Bazaar, we have this service we call scouting. So basically,
Okay.
and here we have three types of a client. So one client is I've done this before. I just need somebody who will create an effect for me. Simple.
Okay.
The other type of client is I have done this before, but this is something bigger. Maybe this is like a new platform, new type of AR effect. Maybe this is web AR. I need some more help, maybe with budget checking. I don't even know what I should assume as my budget. This is another huge problem brands have with AR, because some
Okay.
people think it costs like $50 and other brands think it costs half a million, and nobody really
Yeah.
knows how much it costs, right? Except for people
Yeah, we
who
don't
make
know.
it.
We still don't know how much it costs. I think
Yeah.
it's
Actually,
still
that's one
very.
of my questions later that I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask her.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to the pricing.
Yeah, no, nobody knows. But and the last type of a client is like, this is my first experience with AR, so this is kind of the person we're talking about, right? So here we have like a full set of actions we can take. So for one, we definitely like if somebody explains maybe their vision or their idea, we kind of first consult on the concept first. So if it makes sense for their kind of business sector, for their audience, if there is like interactive element in it, because trust me, most of those first proposals don't even have any interaction, which doesn't really make sense. So first we consult on the idea, and then we kind of try to recommend people who could help them actually develop it, right? So we kind of measure how big would the project be, if it should go to a company, to an agency or studio, or just to a freelance creator and everything. Then we check for the budget, for like accessibility, if people actually can do it. And we also want to do, we haven't done it yet, but we want to do something like a mock-ups contest. So basically, for example, we would get 5 people, 5 creators or studios, um, to bring in their proposal, and then we together with the client kind of assess advantages, disadvantages, everything, and then pick the best proposal basically. And I think this is like the ideal process of how something like this should look like. So we don't go for the first person recommended, we don't go for the first idea that didn't really made sense, but we look at the AR experience as like for it to actually have some goals to it, right? And to actually make something happen for the client. And I think the same thing with creators who want to start selling what they do and monetizing what they do. You really have to look at it this way. Don't look at it just as your craft. I know it is your craft, and you can be as creative and artistic with it as you want, and you should be to learn more. But when you talk to the client, for one, you have to be open to their suggestions, but you also have to be the expert in the room. You cannot just
Yeah.
say, okay, whatever, I will just do whatever they want. It doesn't really make sense. It won't get any clicks and everything. Okay, whatever. You really have to be the expert. And then this client will always come back to you, because he will know that you cared about what you're
You know your
doing.
shit.
You
You
know
know
your
your shit.
shit.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
this is definitely one of the biggest, like, biggest points I always try to communicate to people, because like we were talking before, like most of these people are artists, developers, not that connected to business, or how they don't really know how to do business, how to talk with clients. That's exactly why we wanted to create XR Bazaar, also to create this type of content and talk about this stuff, just because it's like everybody is doing something. Some people are more successful, some people are less successful, but we know a lot of people who are like top dogs in terms of like technical skill, artistic creativity and everything, but they cannot make money on it. And so here you have to look at these more of like business skills you should learn, not just your technical expertise and everything, but how to talk with people, how to be flexible, how to adjust, how to make a strategy, how to make it make sense to people without talking about polygons and everything, because they don't know about you know
Yeah, the clients couldn't care less about how many polygons you have or your
Exactly.
optimization methods. I did that. I mean, I'm guilty of it. At first, when we were creating our own AR experiences, I was always saying like,
My 3D model
yeah,
is
these are optimized. You have to
all-
understand that they don't give a shit. They just
They
want it to
don't.
work and they just want it to be seen.
I think she gave the perfect answer to the question that I had. How do you balance between the artistic freedom and brand alignment? So you have to be flexible. I know you are an artist, you have your own style, but you have to be flexible with the brand as well to see what they want, but you have to stay the expert in the room. So I think that is also very important.
It's
Yeah.
not easy to balance it out because I know the problem, right? As artists ourselves, we have the same issue. Like, how much of your own opinion do you want to put into this? How much you want to care about your own opinion versus the client? And it's always like a tug of war for you to decide which way to go. But
Yeah.
genuinely finding that balance is what is going to give you the advantage. And I totally agree with what you say. I think the people who make the most money, or just I would actually replace that with being the most successful in any industry, are not the best. The best of the best actually are not always the most successful because they're spending so long on the actual
The
craft
best
of what
of the
they're doing, they
best
forget
work
to.
for the guy who can find the balance.
Yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's very true. And it's the same case here in the AR space, for example, because I feel like the ones who just know how to market themselves and make content out of what they do are going to get the most attention versus the guys who are like the best coders or the best, actual sketchers or whatever. I genuinely agree with that. I have a couple of questions I want to ask about XR Bazaar, just actually one main one. But before that, Fahad, is there anything else brand-wise you want to
Yes.
talk
So
about?
one thing I really liked about she explaining how a brand should enter this space, but I want Zuza to give us an example of a successful campaign that she thinks that the brand came in, like this type of engagement happened for this campaign, and
Like everything was done
yes,
right.
everything was done right, and like I would say that it's very hard to find. Like, did you guys ever had that example that the perfect balance between the creator and the brand, the engagement was good with the AR, and like everything was perfect.
The way it was marketed, all of the things combined.
It's hard for me to kind of explain it now, because to be honest, like until now, when once we launched the XR Bazaar and everything, we were doing it very like chaotically. So a lot of the time we would recommend somebody, we would answer some questions, help the brand out, consult, but we didn't really track like how the performance was afterwards, what was the conversion rates for them or something like this. Just because we were like, we are like, we have ton of other shit to do, right? So we were like, this
Yes,
is
makes
not
sense.
this is not really our like job, right?
Mhm.
So we want to now have like a real process about it and actually like track the statistics and everything, just because I also think it's super important if you can to track the statistics and kind of know what clicks, what doesn't click, especially if you work for a client, because the client, this is what they are expecting, right? So you have to think about it. But I think in terms of like other examples outside of like our consulting, I think I might be, a little bit, maybe it's not fair for me to say it, but I think Coachella, like every year they do something that is really, like, I don't know, something that is really exciting. And I think that something that people who don't really know about AR that much can also get excited about, just because it's like the recent thing that I think Dennis and Nuriru did with Olga
Yeah.
Visualize Me at the like portal to
That was
Coachella
great. That was
basically.
fantastic. Yeah.
it was even for me, like person who is actually going to Coachella and cannot wait, was like, it's so soon,
This
it's
is
so soon,
exciting.
this is exciting,
Yeah.
right? So I think they kind of figured out what to do to make people excited. It worked for me
Yeah.
at least. And I think actually both Denis and Olga are great examples of balancing their own crafty stuff and the branding stuff. Because I remember
Yeah.
after posting it, Denis posted like a whole explanation that this is like a,
How the
orb,
portal
yeah,
works, you know,
the orb
yeah.
portal and everything. So he's still excited about it in terms of his own like personal development and everything. But I'm sure when they pitched it, he wasn't like, okay, here's are the physics, the something, he was like,
Yeah.
okay, you can basically walk around the portal, right? So you can come in from each side, right? Yeah, that's it.
We're gonna make like a magical portal, right?
Yeah,
And shout out to Enuriro. He is definitely one of the best AR creators that I've
yeah,
seen in this space. His stuff is always so unique and so different, and he's always trying to push the boundary of what you can actually create within the software. And that's amazing because it shows other creators what is actually possible in AR. Because a
totally.
lot of people have the mentality that with AR, oh, it's limited, you cannot do this. And then boom, the next day Enrio posted, okay, you know what? You can do physics. Like this is how you do it.
Yeah, and you know what?
One thing I do
It's-
wanna
I just wanted
sorry,
to
please go
mention.
ahead.
I just wanted to mention that Enrico Dennis is like one of the like top dogs, definitely technically and stuff. But he will still answer to like a comment on our group or like meta group if somebody asks about some basic stuff, because he's still in it, like. And that's why he's
Yeah.
like such a good role model for creators, just because he didn't like just grab the what he could what he could take and just left and okay, I'm done with
I'm
this.
out, bye,
Yeah, bye.
post done, see you
Yeah,
later.
he didn't
Yeah,
ghost.
no, that's important.
Yeah, he didn't
That's
ghost
important.
us.
We talked about that. Yeah, no, we talked about that as well. Like, if it's important to keep sharing with the people. Now, Zuza, I just want to ask you, how much time do you have? Do we have another maybe 5-10 minutes? I just have like I think I have one or two questions I want to ask. I want to know if you can pull through that.
Yeah. I'm good until like 22 8 for me, so I have like 10 minutes for sure.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Speed run. Let's
Yeah,
go.
let's speed run this.
Fire.
Conversion rate.
By the way, we have to do it like another time, because I think we have so many
Oh, yeah.
For sure,
100%.
So many things
Trust
to talk
me, we
about.
have like 20-30 more stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
But conversion rate is something I want to talk about. This is so huge because many brands who come into space, all they're looking for is conversion rate. The first thing and the last thing they want to like, okay, how much, when you make this filter, how much of it can I convert? How many sales am I going to have? And we know as artists, that's not the best way to look at it for a brand, because you might actually end up having a lot of indirect conversion
Yeah.
rate, which is people use the AR effect, they get brand awareness, and then 1 month later, they decide to buy your product. How do you convince brands to not look at the conversion rate head on? Because you can convince them, of course, being you as Lenslist, but let's say a creator is talking to the brand alone. How do they convince, hey, listen, maybe you're not getting the conversion rate now, but I'm giving you a lot of indirect conversion rate.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I think what you have to do is to redefine conversion for them and turn it into like social conversion, digital conversion. I call it like multiple different ways depending on the situation, but it's basically like exactly what you said. I kind of share like a simple example for people, because I think it's like super relatable. Like, imagine you're yourself, like, right? You're like an Instagram user, TikTok user, whatever, and you're scrolling around, right? I think you would have to see something like at least 4 or 5 times to actually go and do something about it, just because you see so much. It's not like a holy grail to see something interesting. Everything is interesting. So many things are
Yep.
interesting. So like it's not about this one click and one grab. It's more about
Yeah.
like making generating the user generated content. And then, because also there's like a whole misunderstanding with influencers and everything. You can, for example, see conversion rates of Kylie Jenner, who is like the biggest influencer, right? But her like ratio, comparing likes to followers is like worse than mine, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you
Yeah.
really have to understand how social media works, and you have to explain it to them, because they most most likely don't really know how it works.
Then don't know.
So you really have to explain it, like it's not about me seeing your brand publishing this effect. It's about me seeing my friend using this effect and going, oh wow, this is cool, right? So it's about making the people creating content with it, not just publishing something and counting that everybody will go to your brand's Instagram, because nobody goes to any brand's Instagram. Why would they go to? Maybe there's like a
Yeah, there's no
contest or
reason.
something, but there is no real reason for it, right? Maybe if a fashion brand has a new line, this is a good reason. But apart from this, it's not really like you're
You're
going
not gonna get
to,
it.
like, I don't know, I don't know, even, I'm in Poland, so I don't want to throw a brand you don't really know.
Thanks for not doing that, because we don't know. We don't know.
No, but I
Yeah.
love the term that she puts. We need to change the conversion to social conversion. I
Yeah.
remember I was in a meetup group, and then a random person came to me and asked us, what do you do? We said what we do, and then he said, if I create an AR filter, how many more products can I sell? I was like, okay, don't talk to me
That's
anymore.
like
That's the worst
Yeah.
question that you can ask from an AR experience that you create. Like, there is no direct conversion. It's all about brand awareness, and what you mentioned, it's about people sharing content with your branding,
Yeah.
and other people
Exactly.
seeing it. So if tomorrow, if that person wants to buy and now have to compare brand A and brand B, if I have seen a lot of content from brand A, I will go for brand A.
it's always about
Yes.
the exposure, and especially cool content, right? Because
Cool
like
content,
if you're comparing
exactly.
to, yes, even if you look at fashion brands right now, the fashion brands that are winning are the ones who are like the weirdest or the most unique and the coolest. Like, they create dope content.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are winning on TikTok, for example. They're the ones who are creating content that is simple and relevant, rather than the old style of doing content of just like putting ads. So
Exactly.
very well said.
Oh, thanks.
Again, can be expanded on for another 35 minutes just on
Yeah.
that thing. One thing I want to ask, and it's back to XR Bazaar. AR is something we talked about a lot today. I personally, with Farhad, we're excited about VR, and we're getting into VR. We're spending a lot of time in Unreal Engine, and we know VR, especially with Apple headsets coming out. Again, rumored, but they're most
Let's
probably
hope.
coming out.
Let's hope for it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So as it gets more mainstream, what's XR Bazaar's plan for including VR in the platform?
Yeah, so basically one of our plans for it is to really like, that's why we created a separate platform, because for some time we were thinking, okay, maybe we can have something like XR Bazaar on Lenslist. But Lenslist is really about AR, and we really want to make sure that we don't want to change everything about Lenslist, right? So we were like, okay, we have to start another platform and produce totally different content. So we really want to create content for people who work in VR or want to start in VR, just because, like, for example, I was this week, actually, I was at like a meetup, VR head meetup, in spatial. So there were some people who only do VR, and I was asking them, like, is there any like a community space for VR people? Is there like like a forum or something I can go to talk with people? And they were like, there's this Discord, that Discord. Everybody has a separate Discord. There isn't like a one unifying.
One main hub.
Yeah, there
Right.
is no hub for VR, and I think the kind of the problem with that is that there aren't that many individual VR developers. They're mostly like indie studios. Most of the people I talked with have like up to 10 people on board companies, VR companies, and they are mostly focusing on, once they develop a game, their focus, their their sole focus is on porting the game as wide as possible. So I think the strategy business wise and creative wise is totally different between AR and VR, just because you don't have these social platforms to boost your presence, your exposure.
Yeah.
So this is actually something we're right now trying to figure out, you know. That's why I'm trying to talk with a lot of people who work on VR, and kind of figure out what they need from us, you know, because I think
Mhm.
this is kind of, we it's hard to, you know, accommodate everybody at once. But with XR Bazaar, we really want to widen the audience and really invite other people in. So, you know, I hope maybe we can also talk afterwards and figure figure out how to kind of help people in VR to get more, even to be showcased, because I think even the
Yeah.
creators of like big games, nobody knows their studios.
Yes. Yeah, I think I'm excited that you guys have it in the plans. I think one thing I would say is, especially for us, VR I would say can come as a next step to AR for a lot of people, because definitely it's a lot more complex, because it's like creating a game.
Yeah.
And I think what you guys can do is to educate people on VR now that it's becoming much more accessible, especially with Unreal Engine and all these softwares. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people who actually sort of, reach a stage in AR where they're like, they're really good at it. There's not much more for them to learn there. They can, if they have a platform like XR Bazaar where they can go and maybe even get educated on how they can transfer their 3D modeling knowledge, 3D, world
Yeah.
building knowledge, and now take that into VR and create worlds and then slowly be able to use, because I imagine VR is going to get so big that brands will want to have spaces in VR
Totally.
eventually, just like how they're having AR now. So then they can sort of look at XR Bazaar for a place to get educated and also for brands to find them. And I think that what you guys are doing next is actually perfectly on that road. And we
Yeah.
can, of course, have these conversations in the future. And hopefully next time we meet you, we can be talking about all the new expansions you guys have in XR Bazaar. But
Yeah.
that's for me. I don't want to take much of your time. Farhad, do you have
No,
any?
I really want to thank Zuza for this
Oh, thanks.
conversation. I think it gave a lot of value to creators
Yeah.
and brand at the same time. So thank you again for joining us today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Is
you
there
so much.
anything you want to say to everybody watching right now?
I really wanted to say, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. You know, still we're in this space where there isn't that much like open conversation about what we do. So it's really cool to share everything and talk with you. I definitely wanted to thank everybody who signed up for XR Bazaar, who checked out XR Bazaar. You know, for us, we launched it just on Wednesday. So like any feedback, positive, negative, whatever, just let us know what you think about it, just because we're still in development, we're still developing, updating new features. So we really want to make the platform work for you, just because that's why we made it. So, you know, let us know, please check it out and let us know what you think, because this is like, we really want to make it work, and if it will be successful, it will be successful for a lot of people. So, you know, let's get on board and figure out how to make it work for us. So this is something I definitely wanted to mention. And, you know, Lenslist is like my, I don't know, Lenslist is like my baby. I hope that it will always grow forever and everything. But the reason it keeps on growing is just people like you know, people who want to do this, want to talk about it, are interested in it, are passionate about it. So, you know, just all the hugs and kisses for everybody who's still in the community, active, making it work, creating new stuff all the time. Like, you know, this is why we're here, and without you there would be no Lenslist, no XR Bazaar. So, and I wouldn't have the best job in the world. So thanks everyone.
That's lovely. So if they need to contact you, what would be the best way? Is it LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter? Do you have any specific like personal business account that you would like to share?
I will put Lenslist and XR Bazaar links into description for
Yeah,
sure.
please.
But is there any other way? Yeah, I will do that. The Instagram, also the website, I'll put everything. But is there any other contact channel that
For yourself, perhaps, if anyone wants to speak to you directly?
Yeah, for me directly, LinkedIn is best. LinkedIn, I'm pretty
Okay.
much every day on LinkedIn. So Zuza
Okay.
Śliwinska or just, Lenslist, you will find me. We don't have that many, employees.
Okay, no, easy then. We'll put all the
Yeah.
links in the description. Zuza, thank you again. It's been a blast. So much came out of this podcast, and we are looking forward
To the
to
next
sharing
time.
this with people, and also for next time
Yes.
to have
Yeah.
another chat with you, potentially when XR Bazaar has had maybe a couple of weeks, couple of months of progress, and then we can come back and see what you guys are doing,
Yeah.
and also talk about the future of it all. So thank you again.
Thank you.
And thank you to every single one of you guys watching. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Yeah.
See you, everybody.
Thanks.